You're listening to Grito Podcast Network, celebrating the culture of Chicanos and Latinos one story and voice at a time. Listen to more Grito Podcast Network shows over at mygrito.net. Connect on social, on Instagram and Facebook at Grito, the Grito Podcast Network.
Orale, you have Oscar here from My Grito, and thank you for joining us once again for another episode of the My Grito podcast. As always, with me is my co-pilot, Mr. Gil. Gil, what's up, man?
What's going on, Oscar? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. We just had a great interview with Adrian Carmine. I'm excited about who we're interviewing next. But I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you again for joining me on this journey, this podcast, and producing the show.
It's all good, man. I have some fun.
Cool, brother.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to say about MindBuzz Media that you would like people to know in case they're interested in doing their own podcast?
In MindBuzz Media, check out our YouTube channel at MindBuzz Media. You get to see all the cool stuff that we do, and then also catch us on Instagram. But mainly go to the YouTube channel at MindBuzz Media, and you can catch everything we do from podcasts to live comedy shows. We do it all. So check it out at MindBuzz Media on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you, Gil, for sharing that. And as always, I would like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about what's going on with My Grito Industries. As you know, we are, first of all, a music label. We do represent several different artists and musicians, majority here in Southern California. And it's all types of different genres, from ska, punk, rock, soldies. We do have the opportunity, and we're very fortunate to be representing a lot of these artists. If you want to check them out, you can simply go to our website, mygrito.net. If you want to see who is on the label, we do encourage you to give them a follow on Instagram, give them a follow on Spotify, add their music to your favorite playlist, because they have a lot of good music that is currently out there. Also, we do have a podcast network. We do have a podcast network that consists of a lot of different podcasts that they talk about great content, from Tragos Amargos podcast with Jerry Garcia, the comedian, to Social Primates, Desmadre y Medio, Chicano Shuffle, Emo Brown, West Coast Pop Lock podcast, and of course, the show that Gil has, MindBuzz. Gil, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about MindBuzz and what is it that people can expect if they ever want to check out MindBuzz on YouTube? Because as of right now, it's only on YouTube, right? Not on Spotify.
No, we're on Spotify. However, to stay current with all our episodes at the MindBuzz, on YouTube is the best place that we do. We live stream every Tuesday night, 7:30 to... live stream 7:30 or 8 p.m. depending on how we feel that day, if we want to jump right into it or not. You know what I'm saying? So I think so check that out every Tuesday on YouTube.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that I want to mention about the label, we also have some great music videos that came out this year. You probably heard me talk about it in the earlier episodes of the My Grito podcast. As an example, we have Bear with Rundown Creeps. We have Darlin with 3LH, who, as you see right here, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the latest album that came out from 3LH. So a little bit more on that later on in the interview. And of course, we also do have Scandinero from the Paranoias. These are all great music videos that came out this year under My Grito, so you want to make sure that you go on there and you do check it out. Also, it's very important that I share with you something that's very important, it's more of a passion project for us. Since we started My Grito, we came out with these charity compilations called Más Alto. We had the opportunity to reach out to a lot of great musicians, artists that were willing to offer one of their songs for us to put into this music charity compilation that is housed on Bandcamp, where people have an opportunity to not only listen to some great music, but also make a donation. And that donation can be anywhere be between $1, $5, $15, $20, $50, whatever you can, if it's possible within your means. And what happens with that money? Well, 100% of those proceeds go to a charity of choice. As I mentioned on previous podcasts, we've had the opportunity to already do 5 of these in the past. On July 8th, we announced our 6th charity compilation where we are featuring Love Leo. Now, Love Leo, this is a charity that is very personal to me. As I mentioned during the Adrian Carmine interview, that I personally lost a family member, which is my dog, last year due to cancer. Her name is Suki. And it's something that hit our family pretty hard, as I would imagine anybody out there that's ever been a pet owner that unfortunately lost a pet. It's very hard on them. And one of the things that we can do, if it's possible for you, is to go out there and maybe adopt another dog if you're able to. And it's always better when you are when you're actually rescuing a dog that's in need. Love Leo has done a fantastic job over the years in going out there finding pets or dogs, cats, a lot of different types of animals that they've been able to help out and help them find a new home. Not only that, but they also found several dogs that unfortunately had some type of medical issue, and they've been able to help them out via your donations for them to get the medical attention that they need in order for them to make it. So this is an incredible, incredible charity that we here at My Grito, along with a lot of the artists that were able to donate one of their songs to this charity compilation, Mas Alto Volume 6, for us to raise money and raise awareness to what Love Leo is out there doing here in the Los Angeles area. So we do encourage you, if you get an opportunity, go to Bandcamp and you'll be able to make a donation there. Not only the donation to help out all these wonderful, wonderful animals, but also you'll be able to listen to a lot of fantastic music that's on there. Speaking of fantastic music, I would like to introduce our guest for today. If you are watching this on YouTube, then you're probably seeing the album that I have right here next to me. This is an incredible album that we were very fortunate to release under My Grito, and this album came out in 2022. Silver Dream Road was an album that took a lot of hard work, a lot of passion was behind this album, and we have some great music that can be found on this album. If you go to Spotify, you can download it and you can check it out without a problem. But also, we're going to talk about how you can get your hands on an actual record that you can own if you are a vinyl collector. We'll tell you how you can get that. But this is probably one of the most important podcast interviews that I have done since I started this project here with Gil. The reason that this is very important to me is because I have the privilege of interviewing the vocalist and guitar player for our founding artist here at My Grito, which happens to be 3LH. So with me today, ladies and gentlemen, and by that I mean Gil, since you're the only other person here in this garage, help me in welcoming Rafa from 3LH. What's up, Rafa?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
So, Rafa, why don't we start off by getting 3LH, the meaning behind the name of the band, out of the way? Because people are probably hearing 3LH. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about 3LH?
Well,
how you came up with that name?
Yeah, for starters, basically every show that we've ever played, we get that question at least once or twice, at least. But it starts way back, probably in like 2010, 2011. I started jamming with some buddies, and we got the idea that we'd be called Three-Legged Horse, and I'm thankful that, most of the members are still in the band today. So that's another pretty cool thing. You have Kevin Carranza, who plays drums. Awesome dude. Fabian Vega, who we kind of convinced to play in the band. And sure enough, he still plays in the band, thank God. But yeah, Three-Legged Horse, we started out maybe like in 2011 or so. But then we kept playing shows, and we kept getting offered these backyard shows and stuff. And the main reason why we changed it was because on flyers, Three-Legged Horse would just look so goofy and wonky. It's so long, Three-Legged Horse, like it didn't make sense. So, instead of coming up with like a cool new name like we should have, we just shortened it to 3LH. So, Yeah.
No, and I like that, Rafa. And I'll tell you, when we first came across you guys as a band, there's three things that really attracted me personally. And I'm only going to speak on my behalf.
Sure.
Rob's not here for him to talk about what really attracted him to you guys as a band, but I'll share my three with you. So number one, first and foremost, was the music that you already came out with. You have some great music on there that we're going to talk about.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about the lyrics. We're going to talk about how you came up with some of these songs.
Get real dirty
and I'm going to
with it.
compare them to other songs that I really like.
Okay.
So there's some similarities behind it.
Sure.
But first and foremost, it was the music. You guys as a band came out with some great stuff. Number two was the fact that you are originally from, correct me if I'm wrong, but he told me Garden Grove.
Yeah, Garden Grove.
Which is next door to the city that both Rob and I grew up with, which is in Santa Ana. Mm-hmm. But let it be known, both Rob and I went to the Garden Grove School District, though. We were in that area where you're in the border. My house is in Santa Ana, but my ass needed to go to Garden Grove School District.
Yeah.
Right? So when Rob and I were talking about this project, this subsidiary of Wiretap Records that is more Latino-based, and we didn't want it to be too heavy on the fact that this is a Latino label. Mm-hmm. We just wanted it to be known that, hey, we are Latino, but we're looking for incredible artists. We don't want it to be heavy that you're Latino and that's why you're on it.
Yeah.
It's just that we are a Latino brand and we were out there trying to give more people that opportunity that they deserve, in our opinion. So the fact that you were in Garden Grove was a big one for me. That was number two. Number three, when I found out about Three-Legged Horse. 3LH. I know, Rafa, you just talked about it, and I get it. It looks kind of wonky on the flyers.
Yeah.
But when I think about Three-Legged Horse, I have this vision of, first of all, growing up in Mexico, spending a lot of my summers in Mexico with my abuelitos in Michoacán, Morelia. We were heavy with working a lot on the ranch, which included very heavily with horses, amongst other animals. Guns and other things. That was very heavy. With how my abuelito raised my brother and I was very heavy ranch. But I always saw a horse as just something very powerful.
Yeah.
And then when I hear Three-Legged Horse, I don't know for what reason, but I could relate to it. I can relate to it because in my own rights, I feel like I'm as powerful as a horse. But at the same time, I feel like for certain reasons, I didn't have all the opportunities as other people. So I always felt like I was one leg short. And I saw, and I don't know if that was kind of the reason behind the name Three-Legged Horse, besides you guys being a band that had three artists in the beginning.
Yeah.
But to me, that was the comparison that I used. A powerful animal that I grew up with that just didn't have all its opportunities that it deserved.
Damn.
It was down one leg.
Yeah.
But it was still going to fucking run. It was still going to do its job. And I felt that was the most appropriate way for us to start My Grito Industries with an artist, with a band called 3LH.
Damn. That's beautiful the way you worded it. No, but
so that wasn't the reason you named it 3LH?
No. Fuck no, dude. Honestly, me growing up, obviously, my father has a big history and culture in that, in the ranch life. Just how you said, I've gotten the chance. I've been lucky enough. He's from Guanajuato, Mexico. So I've had the chance to go out there and kind of visit and do what they did growing up, which is all that horse cattling and stuff. So yeah, but I don't know. To me, I just always not envisioned, but I just why not? You don't want to use like a generic animal like a cat, or three-legged cougar might sound a little weird too. So.
If I go to a three-legged cougar show, I'm expecting somebody else on stage, not you.
Yeah. So it was just more natural, I guess, for me to think of a horse, or for us to go that route, and I'm thankful we did. We get that's probably one of the most asked questions we ever get, and for a while we were running with like different answers, like tres leches, or so there's always like a little thing like three little homies, or people just assume, and it's always just fun hearing what other people come up with, and just like that was beautiful what you just said. And I wish I could say that that was the meaning behind it, but you know, in hindsight, it was just more, hey, we're just 12 years old and we're gonna play together, and we're just gonna be called Three-Legged Horse because there's three of us, you know. So I feel like now we've grown and become into something to where, you know, we can get a little deeper with our meanings and our words, and 3LH is just the name we just happen to be stuck with now. So I think we're one of those bands that we'll stick it out, we'll ride it out till we feel it's necessary, and yeah, I don't think it's necessary yet to change it. So
and I wouldn't want to change it. I think 3LH,
we're in too deep.
you guys are. And as you guys are traveling outside of the state pretty heavily, and you guys have a great, I believe you guys are going to be going out of state here pretty soon.
Yeah.
On tour yet again. But in Southern California and Northern California, 3LH has already put a stamp, in my opinion. I could tell based on the fact of who you guys, the venues you guys are performing at, the shows that you guys are headlining, the bands that you guys are opening up for.
Yeah.
I hope that you're giving yourself the credit that you guys deserve in the fact that you guys have something special here in who 3LH is and the brand that you guys are creating with 3LH and the music that you guys have created. The following is there, and you guys are going in the right path, and that's something to be very proud of.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just thankful and lucky to be surrounded by, you know, my best friends growing up. You know, Kevin, you talk about Kevin and Fabian. I've known them since I was, you know, at least 10 or 11 or, you know, or 12. I don't know. I don't remember. But we've been jamming together ever since. And that's kind of a thing. There's a different feeling when you jam with somebody who you know versus like when you're just kind of jamming for fun with people that you may not know. And, yeah, I feel like that little thing makes a difference. And talking about them, you know, we came across this band that we really liked and that actually 3LH was very fond of and very almost jealous of at times. This band called the Amoeba Boys. You know,
oh yeah,
the Amoeba Boys, and they came out with this record that was just, it sounded amazing. The sound was there. The songs were amazing. The songwriting was great. And we're just like, wow, that's that. And then we got to play a show with them. We're all so nervous to play with them. And we finally played with them. Turns out they were just as nervous to play with us too. So that's, you know, that's always like a cool little thing that I think happens. I think we all get in our minds a little bit too much sometimes. But out of
we
that,
do, right?
Yeah.
Because even on that show, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a 21 and over show.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even hang out inside the venue.
Yeah.
You had to go outside.
Yeah. So they played. I tried to hang in there for as long as I could, but I just wasn't 21 yet. So I was escorted through the back, and I had to hang out in the truck while the guys were in there hanging out with the Amoeba Boys. I was a little jealous, but you know, eventually they all came out and we hung out for a little bit, and that's where we met Johnny. And then, you know, after a few years, or I think a few years, I don't think Amoeba Boys was as active or as busy, and we just kind of decided, hey, we're gonna poach you. You know, we're gonna take you because
it is what it is.
Yeah. And Johnny's first show with us was actually in Las Vegas. So he kind of had, he said he was pretty nervous for it too, but I was just like, dude, don't even trip. Like, your first show's in Vegas. Nobody knows us there, you know? But I feel like that maybe made him more nervous. He's like, shit, our first show with this band that I've never played with is in Vegas. So it ended up being a really great show and a really good time, you know? So
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, yeah, those four guys, or those three guys, I'm really thankful to be in the position where I am because of those guys. You know, it's a group effort at the end of the day. And I feel like, you know, everyone carries their weight. And it's good.
I can absolutely say that because if you're okay with that, I also want to go kind of down the line with the guys on the band.
Sure.
On just my experience seeing them perform live.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't had an opportunity, and let it be family issues, work. I haven't seen you guys perform live, but the first 2 years of my Grito, I was trying to go to as many shows as I could.
Yeah.
And first of all, the addition of Johnny, you yourself, Rafa, you're a great guitar player. When I heard Johnny,
I'm all right.
when I heard Johnny come in And I'm going to pick on one specific song that can actually be found on this album, with Memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
His guitar playing on Memory, to me, just
Crazy.
really fucking,
Yeah.
I just loved it.
It's insane.
It's really insane, and it reminded me just of some real good music that I learned, that I really appreciated growing up. Because we are talking about, for me, it was just some great. For me, it was more rock and roll, but it was just that sound that I really loved listening to growing up, and he did a great job with that. So he was a great addition, not only playing guitars but also keys when you guys need them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Fabian, I got to tell you, I've seen this guy perform bass, and first of all, he has one card, or he got some points against him because he's a bass player. Bass players never get the credit that they deserve. They always kind of get the shaft sometimes.
Yeah, he's all right. No, I'm just kidding.
But as a bass player, he really did such a great job performing live. And I remember this was one of your shows that you guys played at La Santa. Actually, during that show, you guys also recorded a music video for one of your songs, which we'll talk about later.
Sure.
Because I know Rob and I were there, and we all got on a sick one.
Yeah, we were all on a sick one. Yeah.
But I remember seeing Fabian performing, and I was right on the side of the stage watching you guys perform. But then Fabian went ahead and dropped down to his knees, and I don't know what the fuck happened, but Jimi Hendrix came out of him playing a bass.
Yeah, playing
and
a
he's
bass.
just ripping the bass like fucking Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
And he was just having such a great time. And for me, as a fan of music, anytime that I see an artist just really feel the music,
Yeah.
and not be scared to show the feeling on stage, because I wouldn't know as a musician, because I'm not a musician, but it's low-key, it's a dream of mine to be able to be on stage in that facet and be able to play an instrument and be like that. But when I saw Fabian have that moment, that got me pretty fired up.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the big things that, we all kind of love about just having the certain guys that we do have in the band is that Fabian, he expresses music so much differently than typically I would express music through. And I feel like there's that balance between it, because his bass lines and his inspirations are different and unique, and he expresses that through his bass lines and through a lot of the bass lines that you'll hear in our songs and records. There's always something different. It's never just kind of like the standard basic type deal.
And I like that.
Yeah, and I feel like that is such a big contributing factor to our sound and all of that. And same with Johnny. He plays in such a different guitar style, and because if it were up to me, everything would be like, just basic rock and roll stuff.
Yeah.
And with the addition of Johnny, it's just he adds a different flair and flavor that now it's like kind of melded into, oh, that sounds like 3LH. And I'm thankful for that, because again, without those kind of sounds or influences, like it's different. It's a different outcome, if that makes sense. So
It does.
yeah. So I think we're onto something with this lineup of guys.
Yeah.
Same with Kevin.
And let's talk about Kevin.
Sure.
Because in high school, I was in middle school. I was in the school band.
Sure.
Now, I wasn't playing an instrument that you would think is out there driving all the little girls crazy and all that stuff.
Is it clarinet?
Unless I was, no. Or I guess it's not that bad. No disrespect to any clarinet players out there.
Squidward.
But unless I'm in a ska band, which ska is one of my favorite genres too. But I was playing the trombone, and nothing's more cool, oozes more cool than
the
walking
trombone.
to school in a fucking bazooka case.
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
your trombone in there, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when they were giving us the music test to see if we have that it factor to play an instrument, if we can hear music, if we have a good ear for music. Low key, I was hoping that they would pick me as a drummer.
Oh,
I love
okay.
the drums,
Yeah.
but I never was picked for that. I was asked to be on the band, but here's a fucking bazooka trombone for you to play. Nothing wrong with it, but at that point, again, you got to keep in mind nobody's looking at the trombone player.
Yeah.
Nowadays, different if you're at a ska scene.
Sure.
Fucking
sure.
rad.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
But I have this special thing where I take a look at drummers, and you can tell the drummers that are holding down the beat of the song, the rhythm of the song, and those that are just fucking holding down the music and the genre and just the passion about the song. So drum players, this applies for everybody, but for me, again, low key, I wanted to be a drummer.
Yeah.
When I see Kevin get into performing live, I don't think the guy gets enough credit. I don't think he hears it enough.
Yeah.
But the honest truth, he's one of the best drummers that I've seen live.
It's
crazy. He does such a great job.
He's insane live, right?
He is.
That's a big thing, you know. It's the energy, you know. And sometimes we're at shows and the energy is just not there. But you know, I'll try to go back there and like hang out with him and you know, kind of like, you know, pump each other up. But the energy is there, and when the energy is amazing out on stage and out in the audience, and you know, obviously he'll reciprocate that. And I feel like he's one of the best to do that, you know. I always tell him there's a track on here, I think it's on the last track called Lover's Lane. He does this crazy weird like where he's playing the snare drum and the hi-hat at the same time, and then it's just this crazy groove. And I was just like, where'd you come up with that? Like how? He's just like, I don't know, man, that's just what I was feeling. And it's amazing. It's one of my favorite. Like usually when a 3LH song comes on, like I'll skip it, you know, because I'm like, I don't want to listen to my music. But when that one comes on, I'll at least listen to it like, because I love that drum intro so much. And yeah, that's what we were talking about the other day. And yeah, it's amazing. You know?
Lover's Lane, I do love that drum intro.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like dum, 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 boom, dum, dum, dum. And then the song comes in and he's doing this weird, crazy like groove fill. I don't know, but it's cool.
Speaking of Kevin,
Yep.
What's up with his love for parrots?
I don't know. I think I remember he was going out to like look at exotic birds, and I don't know. I can't tell you where his love exactly came from, but he's always loved pets. You know, he has a couple dogs. There's Milo that he's had since we were kids, and yeah, so he's just always been a pet person all around, you know?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, just one day he's just like, yeah, I have this bird, and his name is Kirby. This is ginormous, like... And Kirby's pretty cool, but, you know, sometimes Kirby gets a little cranky. We haven't seen him in a long time, but maybe that's it. But Kirby, you know, he's a big bird. You know,
he is. Very colorful, beautiful bird.
Beautiful, intimidating as hell, though.
Here's the dilemma that I have with when I think about Kevin.
Sure.
We're going to talk about the boys in the band for a bit.
Okay.
So when I think about Kevin and his fascination for his parrot, which beautiful parrot, he does remind me a lot about my abuelito, because my abuelito, like I said, when I go to Mexico, he had his birds, he had his parrot.
Yeah.
And my dad had birds growing up where I would always hear him just in the background. When I see your guys' videos on social media, and I experienced it firsthand at your house at La Santa in the green room, you guys party hard, which I love, because I tend to do the same. I've been a little bit more reserved as of lately, especially this year.
Yeah.
But I always had a great time hanging out with 3LH. Like if I'm hanging out with 3LH, I got to be careful what my plans are the next day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And we found ourselves at karaoke bars. We found ourselves at Angel Games.
Yeah.
We found ourselves bar hopping in Santa Ana. We've done quite a bit, which I really love. And I think a lot of it has to do with just, I love you guys as a band. I love the fact that you guys trusted us by being our founding artists. But I know, again, I'm thinking about Kevin. He plays the drums like a madman.
Yeah.
But again, he reminds me of my grandfather, because he gets on a sick one and taps out rather quickly. And when I follow 3LH on social media,
Yeah.
occasionally when you guys go on sick ones, I see him asleep, ending up with like a shade on his head, him being picked up. I've seen so much fucking good content on your guys' social media. Just you guys going sick and him tapping out rather quickly. I don't know if he's an old soul or anything like that, or just gets tired.
Ooh, yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about right there. I think he was just tired and he might have just knocked out, but we're just bullies and like to mess with them. But no, Kevin's typically more reserved when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's mostly me in the front of all that part of
this madre.
Yeah, and I'll sometimes convince Fabian and Johnny to join me, but for the most part, Kevin's the more reserved one per se.
What did you guys do to him?
Huh?
What did you guys do to him?
No, it's just he knocked out pretty early, and so he fell asleep on a chair.
Right.
And that old thing. There's a lampshade around. Like that old party thing where you just throw a lampshade on someone's head. So he was knocked out, and so we just kind of plopped it on his head, and then we all kind of eventually carried the chair he was on, and then we just started, and then he woke up and then started, dancing with all of us too. But
I thought for a minute that you guys were doing a bar mitzvah for the guy.
No,
because you guys picked him up on the chair,
right?
but then put him down, and then he just started dancing out of nowhere.
That just comes from having a good time with all your close friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's part of another thing too. It's like we don't like to really go crazy like that unless we know we're around people that we're comfortable with or that we trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
well, I think it's very genuine of you guys, because before the band, you guys were friends.
Yeah.
And that it's very it can be very important anytime that you start a project, let alone music, but just any business. Here I am with this label, with my best friend growing up, with Rob, from meeting him at the first time out there in Little League Baseball to junior high, him kind of saying a comment to me as I'm walking down the hall in junior high, because I had Green Doc Martens out of all thing. Hey, what's up with the Green Doc Martens?
What's up with that?
And me like, it's because of Green Day. Oh, you like Green Day too? What's your favorite song? At that point, instant friendship.
What was your favorite song at the time?
Well, at that point with Green Day, because they had just came out with Dookie. And at that
Dookie's
point,
so
I was on Basket Case just like everybody else, but it's one of those things that I commonly heard on the radio, and it was a Basket Case is a song that I would constantly be rewinding on my boombox. Yes, boombox, because I was listening to a tape. For those of you that may not be aware of what tapes are,
what is that?
Let alone CDs or 8-tracks.
Exactly.
But we do have records. We do sell records. So Green Day was a big deal. And that's how I started this friendship, first and foremost with Rob, which him and I on a personal level, we talked about this, that our friendship is always going to exceed any business issues or things like that, where we've had a conversation that we want to start this. He already had Wiretap, first of all, for a long time.
Yeah.
But when we started the subsidiary, My Grito, we both had dreams and aspirations for it to be something big and for us to be able to help out as many people as we can. But we told ourselves if it ever got to the point where it was questioning our friendship, that I would walk away.
Yeah.
And I would want him to walk away as well, and for us to be able to do it amicably, where it doesn't hurt any of the artists, and we could do it in a good way. Fortunately, we've never come across to that type of position.
Yeah, that's good.
We're always, for the most part, because we are going to have disagreements, but for the most part, we have the same vision. We want to do the same things, and we want to grow. And that's very rare when you're able to do a business with your best friend. Here you are, a band now for so many years, since you guys were in your teens, early teens.
Yeah, early teens. Before we even, before I even hit puberty and stuff,
Before the voice started cracking?
Yeah. I remember it was a really annoying phase when my voice did finally start cracking. Because I'd be singing and just be like, horrible.
Well, you guys started, the whole music thing, did it really hit when you guys were playing, out of all things, playing Guitar Hero or Rock Band?
Yeah, it was Rock Band. Kevin had Rock Band, and we'd go after school and just play it for like hours on end. And then eventually I'd get picked up or I'd have to go home. but I think he had a drum set and he was playing drums, but he played more like heavier stuff, like metal.
Like a little Black Sabbath. I know Black Sabbath song.
Yeah, I think he at that time like Avenged Sevenfold was more little up his alley, and yeah, I kind of had to be like, hey, you could play that, then you could play this super easy. It's just like La Bamba or something, you know. So he goes from playing like to like playing you know, super easy. Yeah, and then we messed around with doing some heavier stuff. That didn't work out. Our earlier stuff was a little more like punkish. That didn't work out. We started songwriting pretty early on too, and it always just ended up sounding like a B-side to a Green Day song or something. And so, you know, we kind of just learned from all these things. There's a while in high school that we got super into ska. So we got into like bands like Streetlight Manifesto, Red Store Bums, yeah, Operation Ivy. You know, to this day we'll play an Operation Ivy song every now and then. But it's kind of just, we've been through so many aspects and genres as a band. I feel like that kind of just makes it easier for us to jam with not only each other, but it's a little bit easier to be more open at practices and songs and songwriting and stuff like that. It's like, hey, you remember this little part that we used to do here? What if we do that, but like differently and change it into this, and then it becomes a new song, you know? Like Memory, we were talking about earlier. That came about, we were jamming in Kevin's garage, and we're practicing a song called Christine. It's one of our older songs. And we're just playing it slowed down. Dun, 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 dun. And that ended up becoming that middle part of Memory, you know, when it slows down and stuff in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that became Memory. So, you know, just stuff like that.
It almost seems like what makes you guys a great band is the fact that you guys are able to not be too put in a box. And I would think it's a little difficult for some artists, not all artists, but for you guys to be able to get influences from different genres that kind of made you guys musically who you each are, to bring into a song and create the sound that 3LH is now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the sound? I would think hopefully really good, but how do you feel about the sound that 3LH currently has and the direction it's going?
The direction, that's the thing. It's all up in the air, you know. Sometimes we'll come in and we just want to play super loud and fast and aggressive. And there's other times where we want to just kind of dial it back and, you know, be more singer-songwriter, have a more singer-songwriter approach to things. With our latest track that, you know, will probably be out by the time this podcast is out. That one is a bit more of a mix, let's say, between a song like Shadow and Nothing Real. Songs like that, those, where it's more rhythmic, it's more somber. The lyrics, you know, there aren't necessarily lyrics that, you know, it's not like Bohemian Rhapsody or something like that. But it's a nice overall song that captures a vibe. And it captures the sound of, to us, it feels like nostalgia for us, you know? Nice. So I feel like we're inching towards that. When it's more poppy, more, I guess, indie poppy. But we're never scared to go back right into like a heavy surf or surf punk. You know, it just depends on how we're all feeling that day or something.
But I like that you guys are nimble enough to be able to go from one genre to another with confidence, if you will.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think you guys take enough pride in the final product of what you guys are putting out there.
Yeah.
That something still kick-ass is going to come out.
Yeah. That's another thing why it takes us kind of like forever to come out with stuff. It's just because we don't want to, like, you know how on Instagram sometimes it's called like shit posting?
Yeah.
Where you just, you know, they're spamming basically we just want to take our time and release something quality and something that, you know, we feel like we all could get behind of. Because if you know, for us, it's quality over quantity. And I know that's a little, you know, risky in today's day and age because, you know, like a single every week type deal, and everything's so fast paced now. But at the end of the day, it's just like rather wait a little bit and then release something that we could all get behind. And as long as we're on the same page as a band, then I feel okay with what's coming out, you know?
And I agree with that, Rafa,
Yeah.
because the thing is, you do want to come out with good quality stuff. It's not a matter of just, here's another song, check it out.
Yeah.
And it watered down kind of the direction or the heart of what you guys are as a band or what a musician is as an artist.
Yeah.
But then again, you also come across the fact of staying relevant.
Yeah.
Because
that's
there's
a
other
scary
artists
thing.
that are coming out with a lot of stuff. And I'm not suggesting that one's better than the other. It's one of those things where you kind of, I don't even know if it's about finding the middle ground, but you don't want to wait too long to come out with something unless, Rafa, if you're like a fucking amazing band that's out there that is already established, you can wait 2 years, 3 years, nobody gives a fuck. But the moment that you come back, people are going to be like all about it.
Yeah.
Right. But I think for us as local artists or
Yeah.
us, here I am like a douchebag. Not me,
No.
like you.
No.
It's still a matter of every year you have to come out. I would think you would
something.
want to come out with something
With
every year
something,
with
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It could be one song,
Yeah.
2 or 3. 3 might be asking too much because it does
Yeah.
take a long time, but you got to come out with something.
With something. Yeah. And that's kind of where we're at with, you know, writing with our upcoming project, whether it be a record or an EP or whatever we decide, whatever everybody decides that they want to do with it. But, you know, it's just kind of like sitting back and songs like Lover's Lane or, you know, just more, you know, sitting down and exploring the songwriting aspect of what we could do with our music and not just it be like super. I'm not saying our lyrics have been a little more superficial before, but just kind of like diving deeper into what we could do and what we're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And I think if, you know, we're on the right track with that, and I'm excited to see where that goes. So for now, I can't say what that's going to sound like, but the songs that we do have, they're fire. They're pretty fresh. You know, but I can't give away too much about that until
People they have to stay tuned, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
gonna be excited for what
yeah,
they
they're
hear.
gonna be stoked because I mean I think we're about like maybe 4 songs deep into a next project or something like that.
Nice.
With a newer single coming out later this month, and you know, I feel like each single drop will get you closer to the sound that we're going for.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
And I'm sure a lot of people that are following 3LH or will hopefully start to follow 3LH because of this interview. That's what that's what I hope for.
yeah. Me too.
I want to talk a little bit
I'm
about
just kidding.
the what you guys have out there currently. First of all, you talked a little bit about the surf punk, more loud music. There's a song that you guys play that when you guys perform it live, I get fired up.
Hell yeah.
And it's for my own personal best interest that I'm not several drinks and shots amongst other things in when I hear this song, because then I'm going to start kicking and punching people around me.
Oh no.
So when I hear Psycho
dude. Yeah. Yes.
and Rafa, the scream you give, it is fucking awesome. That shit fires me up.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
So I'm gonna play Psycho
You're
here
gonna
in the
play it?
background.
Sweet.
Oh, sweet.
Before,
Hell yeah.
while you talk a little bit about this song, because I want to talk about Psycho and I want to talk also about Here's Johnny, because
Sure.
I hear these 2 titles and I'm thinking fucking horror movies.
Yeah, horror,
the genre. But
Yeah.
tell me about Psycho and how you came up about this while I play this music in the background.
So Psycho, man, I think we're just jamming somewhere in like Huntington at some studio, and I think Johnny just had that riff, that don da 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 don don da 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 don da 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 don don da 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 da, and we're just like, woo, that makes me feel like gets us hyped up, you know. And then the songs, it came pretty quick and easy, and then the lyric wise, it's like I didn't know what to say, so we kind of just came up with that on the spot. Come on, baby, baby, won't you scream for me? He would say, come on, baby, baby, won't you scream? So I feel like it's a mix between, Psycho, the movie, and this old song too, that's called Scream. And kind of picked up some inspiration from that.
I didn't even think about that. Scream.
By the Misfits?
No, not by Misfits.
Oh, okay.
It's Ralph Nielsen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I really like that because I'm familiar with that song. But for me, when I hear the beat and when I heard the attitude, I was thinking more Stray Cats Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely that vibe because that whole song is just kind of revolving around the dun 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 dun. So it reminds us a lot of like Police Truck by Dead Kennedys, that kind of vibe. Dun, 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 dun. There's so many songs that kind of have that same groove. And it was just a matter of putting a different face and attitude towards this one,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's stay on topic with the aggressiveness of 3LH.
Sure, yeah.
There's another song that I absolutely love that, to me, this song actually reminds me of, and I think I told you before, but again, here comes where both you and I are sick one where we won't remember that we had this conversation. But let me play this song in the background.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you, it reminded me of a certain artist. At the time, I told you that it reminded me of a Morrissey song. I don't know if that gives you a hint.
Uh-huh.
But there's a song by Morrissey called "You're Gonna Need Someone by Your Side."
Okay.
The song is obviously Kill Floor.
Yeah.
And I know with Kill Floor, that song has been covered by another, we're talking rock and roll, old school. But for some reason, this gave me the vibe of Morrissey. Tell me about Kill Floor, because this is a fucking great song. And by the way,
Thanks.
Kill Floor, which this one is not getting the numbers that it should, first of all, on Spotify. But still not something to shy about. You're just under 109,000 downloads. $109,000 on Kill Floor.
Thanks. Yeah, well, Kill Floor, it's one of our favorite songs. We recorded it a while back. I think we won it in like some... so we won this studio session that somebody was going to record us for free. And so we went in some guy's garage. I think he did like the song and then like this live podcast or broadcast of us playing songs live. And this song was right around the time period where we're transitioning from like going from that high school pop punky sound to like, this is one of those turning point songs like, oh, okay, this is what we want to do because this is legit. This song is how many years old, and it's still one of our favorite songs to play. That kind of speaks, enough on that. But yeah, that song just always kind of captured still that kind of spooky, upbeat, raw kind of sound and vibe that we always kind of gravitated towards. So yeah, so we recorded that in a day and it was fun. That was that, and that's Kill Floor. Fabian had that bass line, and we worked the whole song out of that bass line, just the dum 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 dum. He just started playing that, and we worked the whole song around that, and I think it came out great. We didn't do too much with it, we didn't do too little. I think it's perfect.
It's a fucking perfect song, and
yeah.
You're right.
It's a little long though. I mean, that's my only complaint listening to it nowadays. But
I don't know. I think it's for
good.
me. It's a good length.
Yeah, it's for me. It's good length. Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, when I talk about here again, the importance of a good, not always needed in a band. The Doors, the Black Keys, a bass player, but
yeah.
With Fabian's bass playing on Kill Floor and on Psycho,
yeah,
the bass drop is so important.
Yeah,
because it gives that
really
attitude.
Drives, yeah, it really drives that. Yeah.
So let's talk about another song. Because I mentioned earlier with Psycho, so we're talking horror movies. Now let's talk about Here's Johnny.
Sure.
So here we're talking about another fucking classic movie.
Yeah, The Shining.
The Shining.
Yeah, I think there's just a period where me and Johnny were just, kind of obsessed with this movie in particular, which is, Shining is a classic movie. But Johnny, this is actually Johnny's song. He composed it. He wrote it. He wrote the melody even. The only thing he didn't write was the lyrics. He's just like, hey, I have this song. And I'm like, okay, cool. How does it go? And he showed us this song. And it's like, whoa, this is badass as hell. And then he's like, I'm asking him like, hey, do you have a melody for this? And he's like, yeah. It's like, na 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 na. I'm like, okay. So I kind of recorded him doing that. I recorded the song. And then I just automatically, just quickly, just the way the song was sounding, just gravitated towards The Shining, just because it's Johnny's song. That famous line that he says is, here's Johnny. But there's that was just that inspiration behind it. Just the time we're we're obsessed with that movie. We're going to, obviously these lyrics reflect it,
Yeah.
And the second line to this, the Midnight Stars in You, that's one of our favorite songs in that movie or in that soundtrack. And it's the spookiest thing ever, but you listen to it, it's just piano playing, and it's like a really sweet and loving song, but it's still spooky to us because it's in The Shining and it has this creepy little piano intro. So that's a little Easter egg in that. Midnight Stars in You Tonight, I think is what I say. And that's the name of the song, Midnight, the Stars in You.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Such a great song.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed, as we pieced together as you pieced together this music video, and using a lot of clips from The Shining. And
Yeah.
then you guys were at a high school or something, weren't you? Or at a school, bleachers, wearing masks.
Yeah, dude. I don't know where that came from. I think Rob was on that, just kind of pieced together all those Shining clips, and he's just like, hey, give me something, dude. Like, we need to put something out. And I was just like, okay. So there's this park next to Kevin's house, and I think Kevin found these weird little masks at like the 99-cent store or something. So, we're all budget, like, yeah, because but what I'm trying to get at is like, okay, we're doing this, and then we just went down to the park and hung out and shot some footage. And at first it was kind of like weird or cringy because we're not used to that kind of stuff, but yeah, we used it, and it ended up being a fun little thing between us, and it's cool. Great memories were made.
I think it's a great video, and for those of you that are listening to this interview, make sure that you do go to YouTube, type in 3LH, and here's Johnny, so you can check out the video for yourself, because just them having a good time wearing these fucking creepy masks from the 99-cent store.
From the 99-cent store.
And also using clips from The Shining.
Yeah.
It's still a very fun and, more importantly, a great fucking song that you guys were able to put out. But that's not the first time that you guys used a movie reference in your music videos. Let's go back to Memory.
Sure.
So with Memory...
Oh, yeah.
There's another music video that's referencing
I forgot about that, yeah.
a very classic movie that, as I play this in the background, that I remember early on, like I really wanted to help out as many of the artists as possible and try and put in my 2 cents whenever it made sense. And I remember when I gave you my 2 cents on this music video, I was so wrong. So I'll tell you a little bit more about it. And for the listeners, kind of here's a learning moment for me. Here we are with My Grito, and at that moment, what I felt was very Latino focused, trying to do as much as we can and just have this vibe. I was looking for the vibe more than anything. Of course. And I hear this song, Memory, which I absolutely love. And as I mentioned earlier, just Johnny on the guitar is fantastic. The whole band is very solid. You mentioned to Rob and I that you want to use American Graffiti. Fucking classic movie.
Yeah.
Hot rods, everything.
Yeah, drama.
It's all on there. Such a great drag racing. It gave out a fucking vibe that, Rafa, it turned out to be the perfect fucking movie for us to
kind of just have.
But I remember here I am, Do you know what, Rafa? I think it should be Boulevard Nights. I don't know if you remember that, but I still remember that. I'm like, it should be a bunch of lowriders and all this stuff, and I can see
wanted
the
that
whole
vibe. Yeah,
I wanted that vibe.
Yeah.
American Graffiti. I'm like, I love that movie too because I'm telling you, when it comes to music again with punk, rockabilly, the American Graffiti was on a constant rotation with me.
Yeah.
American Graffiti was more on a rotation, believe it or not, than Boulevard Nights.
Then Boulevard Nights. Yeah, I remember Boulevard Nights. That was a good one too, though.
Yeah,
I like that movie.
And from
you know who showed me that movie? Funny enough, I think Kevin was the first one that showed it to me.
Kevin, out of all people, Boulevard Nights.
Yeah, he grew up with all sorts of that stuff. He comes from that like kind of funk. His parents are a little younger, and they're all into that. To that kind of like funk and 80s. You know how the 80s was all about the freestyle and funk movement. And and he's a, he got influenced in all that,
That's nice.
Yeah. So I've seen Boulevard Nights too, but I don't know. I feel like just hot rods. I don't know. I just like hot rods in general.
Oh,
So,
I do too.
yeah. So I think the main thing for us with that, it's just like we didn't have a video for it. We weren't about to go film a video for it. But it just so happened that laying it over these scenes of like drag racing and stuff, that just kind of became the vibe or the feeling that we felt when we played these songs. So in essence, we kind of wanted to portray that through those drag racing scenes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I still feel that American Graffiti did a great job when the scenes were connected to the parts of the music. All in all, it was it was still well done.
Yeah,
very well done, and I still love that.
It was a great reworking of of American Graffiti for sure.
And by the way, and I don't know if you still have it on the band's Instagram account, but this was probably back in 2022. Before the album came out, I know you went ahead and at your house, sitting on the hood of one of your cars.
Oh yeah,
with Johnny and with Fabian.
Yeah,
you guys did Memory.
Yeah,
and it sounded so fucking good the way you guys played it.
Yeah.
Only to be interrupted by your dog.
Yeah, my dog with like a big ass leaf or something. Yeah, or like a leaf, a branch from the palm tree.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, that was just during COVID, I think, and everybody was still kind of skeptical about being out and being out with a large group of people, and I'm sure probably every band was going through this too. We're just like, fuck, like what do we do? How do we stay relevant?
Yeah.
So that was just something that happened through that. We're just like, hey, come over, let's film something, let's just put something out there to let some people know that we're still out here jamming and we're still trying to move forward. Because I think in the midst of all that, we're trying to release this album, but what a lot of people don't know is that it was so hard to get records pressed during those COVID years.
Absolutely.
Everything was backed up.
And the fact that you guys as musicians couldn't be out there performing shows and trying out the music in front of a crowd just to kind of get the vibe, that made it even that much more difficult. And I know for us as a brand, as a label, one of the things that we resorted to was live streaming.
Yeah.
And you guys were one of the first bands, as a matter of fact, I believe the first band that we actually did a live stream with, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was over in Stanton, right?
Yeah, so we did it at Stanton. And I know Johnny wasn't available because of work.
Yeah.
But between you, Fabian, and Kevin, you guys still performed this album on the live stream, which can still be found on My Grito Industries YouTube account.
Yeah.
You can pretty much get a good sense of the the 3LH vibe minus Johnny.
Yeah.
But you guys did such a great job. During that live stream, you guys were just feeling the music.
Yeah, I remember Rob was kind of which it's understandable. Because I told him kind of last minute, I'm like, hey, Johnny's not gonna make it, but we weren't really tripping on it. Johnny's busy. We're not gonna hold him to that. He's and we kind of just always knew, like, hey, me, Fabian, and Kevin, we'll just play like we'll just play like we used to, it's a lot better when Johnny's there, but we could still swing it and get by with us three core guys.
With the OG three-legged horse.
Yeah. You know, we just play like older songs or something. So yeah, it was very unfortunate he couldn't make it. We're all kind of bumming, but I was just like, hey, like we're gonna just do a 3-piece set. He's like, what? Like, what do you mean? I was just like, oh, dude, we got it. Just watch, we got it. And sure enough, I think the live stream went great. It was cool. It was a lot tougher for me because I'm like, holy hell, dude! Like, how does Johnny do all this stuff? You know, I was just kind of like trying to mimic his parts for some parts, or like because I think we did "Here's Johnny," and there's a very special part he does with like fuzz. It's like me, you know, it's a very specific kind of fuzz, and I was trying to mimic it, and so I got pretty close, but yeah, but like songs like "Memory," like without Johnny, we can't do that stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
No, but you guys still came. It still came across really, really, really good.
Yeah,
we were still very happy and very proud to be able to showcase you guys on this live stream.
Yeah, it was fun for us because that kind of let us get back to our roots a little bit. Yeah, so that's how we were jamming in Kevin's garage 10 years ago or so.
Yeah,
so
only to be followed by once you guys finished the live stream. We ended up at this little dinky bar in Stanton doing karaoke and drinking our asses off.
Yeah.
Common theme with 3LH and My Grito hanging out.
Yeah. Unfortunately. No, but it's always a good time. Yeah. That's what I like about it. It's all in good fun.
So I want to talk a little bit more about just a few songs that I wanted to highlight, and then I want to get to know a little bit more about you personally.
Sure.
But with music videos, I know, like you said, we here we are talking about Memory. We're here talking about Psycho. And for any band, especially a band that's very much, and I'm going to say this very respectfully, very DIY. You guys do majority of the stuff on your own.
Yeah.
You have the support from My Grito. You have the support from your booking agency. And there might be other people that I'm not giving credit to because I'm not aware of it, but you are, obviously. But you guys are very DIY. And it's very hard to be able to put out a music video, just period. But there are 2 music videos that you guys came out with that you guys put together just a good solid video with a lot of imagery, a lot of good sound. And there's the two that I'm going to mention. We talked earlier, I believe, whether this was before we started recording or not. So there's Darlin'.
Yeah.
Most recently out. Uh-huh. But also Shadow, which has been heavily talked about, especially here locally. The black turtlenecks and the mannequins.
Yeah, I think the mannequins was Johnny's idea or something, and his idea might have been the turtlenecks too. Someone was just like, "What the hell? Like, you guys are all looking like Steve Jobs now? Is that the vibe? Is that the move?" You know, we all just kind of think that's funny, but I think the main thing behind the mannequins is, one, they looked cool. Johnny found them. He bought them off like some sketchy, either Russian dude or French dude or some sketchy dude in LA, something like that. And he got a good deal for him. So we used them. I think him and Fabian took them all to Fabian's house, painted them white because they were in like a weird blue color, which would have been cool, but we wanted them in white, you know, because that's kind of like the standard mannequin color. And Rob connected us to the guys from, is it Mexico City Heartbreak?
To do those music videos?
Yeah. Rudy, is it? Rudy, who does music videos, and his crew is awesome. And they showed up to my house at like 6 a.m. that day we're going to shoot. And it just so happened that 3LH played in Riverside the night before. And so I was all hungover. And and so that whole day of shooting, the first couple hours was pretty brutal and rough, but after a while it became fun. You know, we ordered pizza and you know, beers to pa curarla or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of came in, they kind of worked my garage, and after that video, my garage has pretty much stayed the same. So if you go back and watch that Shadow music video and you see my garage now, it's pretty much the same. Not much has changed other than I think we sold the mannequins. which is, it's fine,
Yeah.
but the deeper meaning behind the Mannequins, I guess you could say, it's just like, if you listen to the song Not Your Shadow Anymore, it's just kind of like based around, I guess a lot of people don't get credit for what they do, and there's a lot of people that feel that way out there, and so when you don't feel like you get the credit that you deserve, or get acknowledged for all the hard work you're putting in, you kind of just feel like a blank mannequin or stuff like that per se. So that's kind of a visual of representation of that, just kind of blank face, blank things everywhere.
Yeah.
So
You said something very interesting that really grabbed my attention. That can all be found on this album with Silver Dream Road. The way the interpretation of the mannequins and what you got, the symbolism behind it.
yeah.
Which as a songwriter, I think that's fantastic. That's deep. It's not your basic shit.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
Another song that I think there's a big meaning behind it, and I'm curious about it. And and it's also going to be found on the album. Night of a Living Lie.
Yeah.
Tell me about that song,
so
because as I'm listening to that song, I'm like, there's this song's fucking heavy. Like, what's the meaning behind it? Like, before I give you my interpretation, I wanted to hear. Okay,
the actual
what is
interpretation. Night of the Living. It's Fabian's favorite song on the whole record, and he always wants to play it. And to all of us, we're just like, It's because, like, to all of us, we had, like, we pretty much, when we were recording this album, we had like 9 songs, and then we just needed that one to complete the 10. And then I was just like, oh, okay, there's this kind of idea that we have going on, so we worked on that, and it became Night of the Living. And the bass groove is epic, and it's, probably one of these days we should play it,
maybe on his birthday?
Yeah. We did have a show with Manic Hispanic on his birthday, but we didn't play it.
Oh, that could have been a good opportunity.
Yeah, it would have been. I don't know. To all of us, it's just kind of like, maybe, I guess, as important as a song is to the audience, it's important to us too, to have a good time with what we're playing and performing up there. And for that one, I guess we just kind of haven't been on the same page on it. So, maybe soon though we'll play it, and especially after you bring it up. But I mean, lyrics wise, that one is more or less about Night of the Living Lie. It's just somebody who kind of just has to, and like no one in particular, but maybe just based off of past experience that I've had, is just kind of seeing people that kind of bend over backwards to get what they want or what they need out of a situation, So they're basically putting up a front to get where they want to be, and basically saying like, hey, I could see right through that. So,
So the what you just said is what I connected it to.
Yeah. And
I connected it to this word that it's a strong word that I hear every now and then, and it's one of those things where it's pretty harsh, but I know it's one of those things that it's a little bit like, you don't want to be called this word. When I heard the song, I kept on thinking about the word poser. Tell me I'm wrong, but I kept on thinking poser.
No, I mean, you never want to be the guy to call anybody that word at all. But I guess more or less it's just kind of like, hey, just what's the point of being fake, or just be who you are, and people will accept you and even like you better for that.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of people that I've met that are like that inspired the song is kind of like, they feel like they have to be this certain person for this certain occasion, and they have to hold this certain aura or vibe, and that's not cool because it's not real. It's not genuine, And
I agree with you, and I really like the song, and it's one of those things where as I'm listening to the album over and over and over again, I'm I took a liking to that song, but that word did come up.
Yeah.
And I believe this is the first time I'm saying it out in public, but I struggle with that word personally. And I talked to Rob plenty of times about this because Wiretap Records very heavy on punk rock music.
Yeah.
And he's done such an amazing job with it.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about My Grito industry and the sound of My Grito, I was telling him, I just want it to be a little bit, I want to be able to help out Latino artists.
Sure.
But he's up, but what's the sound? I don't want it there to be a sound. I want it to be everything. Well, what do you mean? Whatever the fuck they're playing that we like. If it's punk, if it's ska,
What do you mean?
if it's rock, if it's soul.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean? I'm talking like my fucking confused iPod.
Who is this?
Shuffle.
Are you talking about Rob?
Yeah. Because he was asking, well, so what do you want? I'm like,
Dude,
bro, like we go through your record collection.
What do you mean?
Dude, it's so funny because I can like see him say all that to you.
No, he does. And I'm like, bro, go through my record collection. Go through
your record collection.
Yeah, go through your own record collection.
Yeah.
We love all types of genre music.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, even growing up, even in high school,
Sure.
yours truly, like a dick here. I got nominated for Best Dress. It was mostly all rockabilly stuff.
You
But at
did?
the same time, every now and then I dressed up
Nice.
something different. Oh, what the fuck, bro? I thought you were rockabilly. I'm whatever the fuck I want to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even to this date, and my wife is my biggest critic. Why are you buying that? Because I like it. And I struggle with that word. Not that anybody ever, at least to my face, told me poser, but I struggle with that word because I'm like, I am
and
who the
you
fuck I
shouldn't
am.
You shouldn't feel that way just because I feel like you have to at least give us that. Everybody's their own person.
Yeah.
We should at least be allowed to express ourselves however we want. Sure, you and I have these, roots from our families back in Mexico, and we like to express that in our style today.
Yeah.
Even.
As we're both wearing tejanas here on the podcast.
Yeah,
Check us out on YouTube.
But yeah, that like you should be allowed to express yourself. However, with that being said, though, I feel like that song just more tackles more or less like don't be ungenuine to get yourself in a
Favorable position, maybe?
yeah, in a favorable position. I don't know. I guess it just means like, hey, it's like stay real, stay true to who you are, and from my experience, a lot more people will accept you for that.
I agree. Or at least more the right people will. At least
the people that you want to be surrounded by will at least, or the people. Yeah. So yeah, it's deep, but even then it's not that deep. I mean, maybe I was just a little bit more mad when I was writing down the lyrics to that song. But yeah, Night of the Living Lie, Fabian's favorite. We'll play it soon. I don't know when. Maybe we'll play it soon though.
It's a good song, and I mean that's just an example of what anybody that goes out there to either download the album, or here's an option. If you are a vinyl collector, if you're watching this on YouTube, here's the album with Silver Dream Road. You can buy this at mygrito.net, or more importantly, here's a huge opportunity for any of you that are listening to this right now. 3LH is performing constantly in different venues, and they're in these venues where the tickets sell out quickly. So if you're one of those that procrastinates and says, well, maybe I'll buy tickets, I'll wait to the last minute, or I'll buy tickets at the door, be warned. They may sell out that show. They may or they may not. But I'm respectfully going to say you guys do. Yeah. That's the plan. But if you want to check out this band, which I can't tell you how many times as a band you guys put it out there on stage, even when we're talking about Halloween performances.
Yeah,
I'm talking about being dressed up as mummies. I'm talking about being dressed up as, I hope I'm not getting this wrong. Is it milkmen or?
Yeah, as milkmen.
As milkmen.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fucking rad because you guys are putting in some entertainment into it.
Yeah.
When you guys are out there performing live.
Yeah.
And when people go to see you guys perform live, they get an opportunity to go to the booth and pick up this album in person.
Yeah.
And if you can, find each of the artists from 3LH. It's almost like Gotta Catch 'Em All Pokemon. And they'll sign it for you.
Yeah.
And this is something that could be very special for you. But you want to, if you get a chance, if you're a vinyl collector, that would be a great way for you to support 3LH. is to pick up this record because they have a lot of great songs that are on this album. And I still have to tell you, I think that I've seen, especially from My Grito, there was a really rad moment that I had as one of the co-owners of My Grito Industries, to see one of their artists do something that is so fucking rad, so genuine on stage, when there was a fan that was on the crowd holding up a card. Let me play one of your songs. What song was it?
I think it was Christine.
Christine?
Yeah, Christine, which is another 80s horror movie, you know.
There's a theme here.
Yeah, there's a theme, yeah.
But what did you do?
Yeah, I brought him up there, and sure enough, he played that thing. He played that song to a T better than I do half the time, you know.
But how rad is that? If you're a 3LH fan and and you know some of their songs, maybe you'll be asked to get up there, maybe not. I don't know.
Come up, give me a break, man. My hands cramp. No, but yeah, that was a great feeling, and we got to meet him and hang out with him afterwards, and you know, that's always fun to see. And I just want. That's awesome. I wish my favorite bands would pull me up on stage, you know, to play some of their songs.
I could only think of two bands that do this. One is Foo Fighters.
Yeah. So
they do that. They bring somebody up there. And two, a band that we've talked about plenty of times because of our, we're closetly fans of this band, Green Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many times, Green Day would ask, Billy Corgan would ask somebody to come in. Or not Billy Corgan. Oh, my God. Going Smashing Pumpkins on this. But they would ask somebody to come up and perform one of the songs.
That's what I was reminded of, too. I was just like, oh, you know this song? Like, yeah, come up here. Come play it.
That's right.
And that was a top 10 moment for me, for sure.
Yeah, it was for me seeing it on social media.
Yeah, it was tight.
That was pretty awesome.
It was a great feeling.
So, the last two songs that I wanted to, right now, at least for this interview, give some props to. Don't Want to Hold Your Hand, which I believe was the first single that came out of My Grito with 3LH.
Sure.
Currently just under 94,000 downloads.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking good numbers.
Get it to 100.
Let's get it to 100. You guys can make it happen.
Yeah.
On average, fun. This podcast downloads about, what do you say, Gil? About 101 listens on average. So you at least get maybe 30 from us.
No, it's all good. No, I'm just messing. That song is fun because we've always been, obviously, you know, every band on this planet is one way, shape, or form inspired by the Beatles.
Yep.
But we kind of wanted to do, like, you know, an anti, like, you know, it's always like, I want to hold your hand, lovey-dovey, this and that. I feel like we kind of wanted to just do like, oh, well, what if I don't want to hold your hand? Is there something wrong with that? Like, what if just kind of like an anti, you know, just to kind of say like, hey, it's okay if you don't feel the same about another person too. You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
At first, my thought was going to, hey, we were during COVID. I get it. I don't want to hold anybody's hand. But it has a deeper meaning to that.
Yeah, there's a different, but yeah, I guess COVID was a big factor in all that stuff too. But, you know, 10 years from now, if you hear that song, I don't think the first thing you're going to think of will be COVID.
No.
Or I'd hope not. As a musician, yeah.
No, it won't.
So, yeah, it's just kind of like a fun little play on the Beatles. I want to hold your hand. I want to be your man. Kind of like the opposite of that. Don't want to hold your hand. I don't want to be your man. And that's okay, you know?
Definitely okay.
Yeah.
You know what? It's also okay. Your number one downloaded song on Spotify. We're talking about an oldie but goodie. As I played here on my phone,
sure.
Lonely Hearts.
Oh, yeah.
Lonely Hearts, currently just over 180,000 downloads.
Damn.
Such a great fucking song. And again, this is a song that how I was also introduced to 3LH when we were first talking about you guys and courting you, if you will.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Lonely Hearts.
Lonely Hearts was written sometime. You know, earlier we touched on that turning point for 3LH where we kind of were working into a different direction from like that whole high school pop punk stuff. During those first batch of songs, it was Kill Floor and it was also Lonely Hearts. And, you know, we recorded that in a buddy's garage or even my garage. A buddy just came over with some mics and recorded it. And to me, like, you know, we've always had the opportunity to go back and re-record it like with studio professional quality. However, that one has just become one of those songs. To me, a lot of my favorite songs are really low quality, but the song itself is very high quality.
Absolutely.
So to me, I feel like that Lonely Hearts kind of feels like that for me. It's like it's a great song. Maybe the quality isn't all there, but it gives you an idea of where we were and how that song came out and where we were in time type deal.
Yeah.
So,
but I like what you just said.
Yeah.
But I want to add more to it because you're here you are referencing that the quality was not there. But for somebody that appreciates the genre of music in that era, it was the right sound for what you guys were putting out there, which goes back to the whole album.
yeah.
The whole album was not recorded as most albums nowadays are recorded. You guys did something a little bit more special than that.
Yeah, with Silver Dream?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I mean, that's just kind of the way we're more comfortable because you capture more feel like that. But yeah, that's how they did it back in the day, like back in the 50s, 60s. So basically you go in, get everything checked, and play straight through and run a take or two takes and everybody just playing at the same time and playing live. And what that creates is a sound that's, you know, a lot of times when you're in a studio, they talk about like, oh, your guitar is bleeding into this vocal mic, I can't use that. Back in the day, they would use that to their advantage. It would create like a bigger, more full sound, if that makes sense. So we kind of did that for this whole record, and it for us, we like it a lot because it creates more feel. It makes it sound like, hey, we're actually in the room playing right there, you know, and that's how we sound live. You know, that record was recorded live, and here we are. The one thing that we did go back and mess with was vocals. We would just overlay the main vocal take, except for Psycho. Psycho was all recorded live, and it was just one take, first take, and they're like, hey, you guys good with that? I'm like, yeah, we're good with that. So I'm stoked on it. Still my favorite record, or favorite song on the record. Probably for that reason too. They're just straight recorded live and no gimmicks, no fricks, no tinkering with it afterwards. It's done, you know.
And I think that's where you, as a fan, you've done justice by us, because the way you recorded it is what we can expect when we see you, at bare minimum, when we see the band perform live.
Yeah,
we get the same sound. But what I also appreciate about you guys is, I've talked about it on other podcasts, and you're pretty much the first band that I publicly say, or on this podcast, I say this about you guys, is that there's a difference between a band that performs well in the studio and how they perform live. Most of the time, studio is superior.
Yeah.
And playing live is sometimes garbage. Then there's those bands that can carry it very well and match whatever is being performed in the studio. You get that sound.
Yeah.
What I want to say different about 3LH is the fact that you guys don't just perform what's being done in the studio, you also perform to the crowd.
Yeah.
And there's a difference, I think, with any band and genre, any music, wherever you go. Anytime that I feel like the band, the musician, the artist that's on stage, when I feel like they're catering to the crowd, more selfishly, let me say this. When I feel like they're catering towards my emotions at that moment, makes me fall in love more for that band, for that artist that's up there.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I think they're going off of a vibe versus we're here to play these fucking 6 songs and we're out.
Yeah.
We got a 40-minute set. I feel you guys do more than that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of planning that goes into different shows, obviously, but it's always really important to, one, read the room, kind of wherever you are, just read the room, you know. If you're being too wild, then you might turn some people off and make it unenjoyable for some people. I feel like we really dove into that when we went on tour with Trish Toledo, and we were all really nervous for that, solely because we knew our style of music and I guess how heavy we could get. But I also was looking forward to see how we would create and turn our sound into a really great set that would be a great match to open and get everybody pumped for Trish. And you know, the first few shows, maybe we were still trying to get it figured out or dialed in. But once we did get it dialed and we got a great set list going, we were still able to be ourselves, 3LH. However, knowing that kind of fan base and that sound, we decided to do, we always like doing fun little covers here and there. So we decided to do, what's it called? It's Okay, Sunny and the Sunglows.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we did that, and every night we would bust it out, and then we'd kind of go into like this little what is it called, like a medley of sorts. We would go into, you know, Hey Baby Que Pasó for a little bit, and then we'd do Johnny Cash, doon 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 boom boom. I hear the train, and you know, that would just kind of rile people up and get them excited. And you know, it's always been about that for us. The entertainment comes first, because if you're not entertaining people, then why are you on stage?
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. And so yeah, that was a big learning moment and process. But by the end of the trip, it was rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sad that whole thing ended.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I could have easily done that for like another month. Yeah.
That's such a great feeling. Is when you're, and it's so easy to be homesick or be away from your family or that special someone, but to feel like there's such a great vibe with another specific band that you're touring with.
Yeah.
I would think that's different.
Yeah. It was just really special, because for that trip, we went alone up north, and I feel like everybody was just kind of locked in and dialed in, and I feel like we're all really firing on all. I always tell this to Johnny. It feels like 3LH is like a rat rod surf wagon of some sorts, and it felt like that trip we were firing on all 8 cylinders, and it felt really cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it felt strong. You know.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
excited for what 3LH has done and is yet to be seen.
Yeah.
The future of you guys. I've always known you to be a very humble dude, a very honest guy, Rafa. Would you say that a lot of it has to do with maybe your family, your upbringing? I know you said that you also from time to time you were raised in a ranch, and if correct me if I'm wrong, you also work construction with your dad.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like just having a normal job like that already kind of keeps you pretty real. It's really easy in this music lifestyle and stuff to just kind of get into your head and just kind of like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, because this or that. But it's also nice to be able to take a step back and kind of appreciate what you have with the people that you're there with, music wise, and to take a step further back and be like, hey, I'm only like this because I'm a hard worker, because I know what it's like to work towards things and save up for things. All of us confidently, we all have kind of like normal jobs. Mine just happens to be more labor-esque, working in the sun and stuff like that. But to me, that's fine, because it makes me appreciate what we do have with the band a lot more. And I feel like there's something special that happens when you do take the time to appreciate, those kind of differences. It's fun.
I love the fact that you said that, because here I am as somebody that does have an employer at age 45, but also is an entrepreneur. I have my own businesses, not just what we do with my Grito, but also on the insurance side,
Yeah.
with having my own small business. I commonly see people that they have the so much confidence in what they do, but they're not well grounded. They don't understand what hard work is.
Yeah.
There's just this sense of entitlement that everything has been given to them very easily, and they have not really worked hard for something. And I'm not just talking just hard work in general, but also physically. They have been given just about everything that they have in their lives.
Yeah.
They have not genuinely been rejected and been able to take their licks, but at the same time get right back up and fight again for what they know they deserve. There's only I've had the opportunity to meet certain individuals like that, and unfortunately, I met individuals that don't have that trait,
Yeah.
where there's a big sense of entitlement. And I got to tell you, when I get that feel, the people that are that have that sense of entitlement, I really don't interact with them. So as you're listening to this podcast, if I have not returned your text, get the hint. That's as much shit as I'm going to talk.
Savage. No, I'm just kidding.
But with you, Rafa, it's been different because all my interactions with you have always been very genuine, and I know you're a man of your word. I see your not only the band social media feed, which, like you said, you're not that out there just to bombard a bunch of just crap on there, just to make noise.
Yeah,
you're trying to be very selective what content you do put out there, but also even on your personal page. When I do see the stories of you out there working fucking hard in the heat with your dad, for me, as a 45-year-old that has worked out in the ranch, has worked out in the fields, has worked out in swap meets and all these different things, has done construction.
Yeah.
It's puro respeto.
Yeah.
Because I could tell that that's part of building the character that you have right now. And I think that's what's going to carry you much further and hopefully help you fight away those demons that tell you, you should be more, you should be more, you should be more. You're not worth, you don't deserve this. You don't.
Yeah.
We all struggle with that kind of shit. But I think if you have this work ethic behind you, it's still going to affect you to a certain extent, but you also know, fuck it, just keep working, just keep hustling. And I see that about you. Parents had something to do with that, or is it just you? Tell me about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, since I was younger, I feel like my pops has always been kind of the main. My parents split maybe when I was 12 years old, so right around the time I was hanging out with, when I met my bandmates, and I feel like that was a very monumental part of my life. I always tell people that when your parents split up at a younger age like that, you kind of live your first half of your life kind of like, wow, this is life. This is nice. This is awesome. And when that gets taken from you, like that kind of like thing, your whole world kind of feels like it flips upside down. So I feel like I've always just kind of, held on to my close friends and, bandmates and stuff like that. And just people that you meet, just kind of make it the most and just kind of hold on to your close friends because, you never know when something like that could happen again and get taken from you or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I've always just kind of tried to carry myself that way and just kind of be a good friend to people who deserve it and the people who don't deserve it. I mean, just kind of don't be a dick, but like also, just kind of take note and move on from there. And yeah, you can kind of grow from that. And I feel like that's kind of helped me out a lot. And I feel like the friends that I do have now, they're friends that I could take to, for life, for lifers, so.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out all the boys, all the homies.
Right on.
Yeah.
So Rafa, before I ask you my 3 final questions, I want to give you this opportunity. If there's anything that you want to share with us today that maybe we have not had an opportunity to touch base on, something that you would like to share with the people out there, anything that we maybe missed?
No, but 3LH does have some stuff coming up. We're releasing our single called The Times, and we're all very excited for that. It's a different kind of release and a different kind of sound that we're trying to work with, and it's very much 3LH. It's very much nostalgic, and it gives off those vibes. And we have a tour coming up, but I think by the time this is out, the tour might be done. So just keep an eye out, and hopefully some new 3LH before the year ends, and if not, early 2025. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget to pick up the record. You can follow 3LH on tour. You can go to the next time they're performing, go to their show, buy a record, or if you guys still have it, it's still probably one of my favorite band shirts, which is the purple cat smoking the cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
That's still one of my favorite shirts.
That one, we tried getting the colors to look like Black Sabbath Master of Reality. Maybe the next run we'll try to get the colors a little more better, but yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite too. Black and purple. Can't go wrong. Yeah.
And when the next one comes, you know that I'll buy one instantly.
Yeah.
No, but I love that shirt. So why don't we do this, Rafa? I'm gonna ask you the 3 questions that I ask all our guests.
Sure.
And then I'm gonna finish off with giving some form of financial advice, since I want to take this platform to share that. And then you have a special treat for us at the very end.
Yeah, sure. If there's time, if not, then it's cool.
We'll go ahead and you'll be able to hear it. I think people would appreciate it once they hear the special treat.
Okay.
So let's start off with the 3 questions.
Sure.
First question: out of the 3, pick one. Share with me what's your favorite movie, book, or an app on your phone, and why.
I'd have to say a movie with that. To me, it's always been Outsiders. I mean, classic, total greaser classic.
Pony Boy.
Yeah. But I think the thing that I love about that is that, there's just a bunch of boys looking out for each other. And I like to think that, me and my friends are kind of in some way, shapes, or forms that way. So I always kind of love that, that whole rumble and aesthetic of it too. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Have you and your boys ever found yourself in a rumble that you can openly talk about here on the podcast?
No, not a rumble, but the last time I ever got into some sort of encounter, I looked behind me and, I had Fabian and Johnny there. So
That means a lot.
Yeah, it was cool. And yeah, that means a lot. Just looking back and knowing that, they're ready to go. Same with my buddy Alex. And I got to do a cool little cigarette flick like in the movies. So it felt nice. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next question that I want to ask you. We talked about, before the podcast, we talked about death playlists.
Mm-hmm.
When unfortunately you pass away, and at your eulogy they're playing music, and all your friends and family are there to honor the life of Rafa. What's the number one song that you want to be performing? Number 1, number 2, 3, whatever. If you have some songs, I know it's hard. This question could be hard for a lot of people. But what's your top song on your death playlist?
I think the last one that I heard that would be really fitting and that I would personally enjoy. It's funnily enough, it's by Ozzy, and it's called "Goodbye to Romance." And just the whole composition of that song and his lyrics: "Goodbye to romance, goodbye to, I'll see you, goodbye to friends," stuff like that. I think that's the perfect song. It's beautiful. It's not too long, not too short.
Well, at that point, you're dead. Take your moment.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
long.
yeah. No,
give me a
but-
12-minute song.
No, but I mean, I think that would be number 1. I mean, other sad songs, not really. I tend to listen to happier stuff anyways, but I'd wish that they would just take my box of records that I have in the garage and just take a turntable and just
Give it a
play those.
spin.
Yeah, and just spin those records, because all those records mean a lot to me, So, yeah. But if there was one song, it'd probably be that "Goodbye to Romance" by Ozzy.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
When I heard you say Ozzy, I was thinking you were going to say Changes. But I don't know if Changes is appropriate, but it's a good
yeah.
song, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of records, I had this conversation with one of my daughters yesterday. I don't know how it came up, but when I die, they're like, "Oh, so what are we going to do with his garage and all the crap he has in there?" And then one of my daughters says, "I'm just going to sell all his records for $5." I'm like, $5 each? No,
$5
for everything. Just get it all. At that point, I wanted to make sure that they understood. There's some records in there that are worth a lot more. Like,
Yeah.
geez, don't do that. Don't do that. So I like the song that you pick, one from Ozzy. That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
Last question that I wanted to ask you is, we're still on the dark side. Your legacy, the legacy that Rafa leaves behind, hopefully 50, 80 years from now, if you're no longer here on this earth, how do you hope and wish that people would remember you by? What's the legacy that you leave behind?
Ooh, I think just being a good friend, a good person to talk to. And I also think that, just no matter, everybody makes mistakes, obviously, and some deeper than others, but just at the end of the day, just surrounding yourself with, friends or hopefully people that understand you and care for you. And I want to be remembered as somebody that was there for everybody, and was a great friend, and it was just super nice, you know. Yeah, if I were to say something, it'd be, it's a good friend.
I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rafa. I'll give up some financial advice. Again, as I always do. And I was listening as we're listening to our conversation that we had here with you and with Gil and I. There's a lot of wonderful things that you've were comfortable enough to share with us. I don't know if this is how much connected this is to the actual conversation, because you did share a lot of good stuff, but
Yeah.
there was also some opportunities where, because of a band and the fact that you guys are a DIY band, there was times where we as a team needed to work with what we had, and we did use movies for music videos because it just felt right. It looked rad, but at the same time, it's a budget.
Yeah.
Eventually, you guys came out and you spent a lot of good money, a good coin,
Yeah.
on putting together 2 awesome videos, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be more.
We did for Shadow.
Yeah.
Darlin, that was pretty DIY too, but with the
It was still pretty rad. But
Yeah.
Shadow, you guys went all out.
Yeah.
That was a pretty piece of coin.
Yeah.
But the advice that I wanted to give, and this is more in general, not just if you're in a band. This isn't always applied to just being in a band, but I think in general in life, there's going to be opportunities where there's going to be projects that we want to work on. There's going to be businesses that we would want to start. There's going to be, we want to take on entrepreneurship, which is something that I'm going to talk about with our next guest. But the fact is that many times, not all the times, but many times, they say money's not everything, but it sure is fucking a lot of things. And for those of us that don't have money, sometimes don't have options.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of times that we can get away without money, and we can find different things that can bring happiness. But at the same time, money does solve some issues, some major issues. And the sooner that you understand how money works, the more options that you'll have. Not every option is going to require money for you to be happy, but what you want to have is you want to have that option available to you in case you want to execute any type of plan. Whether it's a music video, whether it's buying a car, whether it's going on vacation, whether it's enjoying life. And I say this to my to my daughters, respectfully, fuck debt. You're going to have debt. Debt's not going to go away, but I need you to enjoy life. I need you to travel. I need you to do things. When it comes to becoming a homeowner, right here as we're in 2024, it's fucking hard. It's not easy to be a homeowner. But it doesn't mean that you still can't enjoy life and go out there and explore the world when you can. It doesn't mean that if you believe in yourself that you shouldn't be investing in yourself and starting your own business and just fucking go for it. Have a plan. Don't just go in there stupidly and just drop a bunch of money. You got to have a plan, right?
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, even though there's a lot of debt that is good, most of the debt is not, but a lot of debt that is good, there's also opportunities where if you are strategic enough and you're saving money as you're out there working your ass off and you're putting some money aside, that money that you put aside is going to open up doors for you in the future. Doors that when the credit cards are maxed out, well, hopefully nobody gets to that point, but when opportunities do come up, if you do have some money that you put away, it gives you options. So my advice to the people that are listening to right now, to remember there has to be discipline when you're planning out your future. It's not always about out there going out there having fun, spending money, going out there drinking all the time with the boys, with your girlfriends, things like that. There's also a matter of discipline if there's something more that you want in life. Rafa, you and the band have created a great thing with what you have with 3LH, and it's only going to get bigger. You guys went hardcore on DIY, and then you invested in yourselves. And you guys as a band have done things that other bands have not, that we didn't get an opportunity to talk about, but I'm hoping that in the future, if there's other bands out there or just genuine fans that are interested in what you guys did, that they would come up to you guys and ask you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good advice that you guys, sacrifices that you guys done to get you where you're at. But for the rest of us, again, make that investment in yourself, put some money aside, even if it's fucking $5 a paycheck, 10, 15, 20, I promise you this, it's going to add up. It will add up. Put that money aside, have discipline. Don't go out there and spend it on the first thing that you genuinely want, unless it's on an investment that will go up in value, not something that's depreciating. Invest in your future. So with that, Rafa, I want to thank you again.
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
being
guys.
on this podcast. Gil, as always, thank you for
thanks,
producing
Gil.
the show. Mind Buzz
These
Media.
mics are
Make
sick.
sure that you guys fucking check them out. Reach out to them if you're interested in doing your own podcast. But Rafa, you do have a special treat for us.
Yeah, let's try it. Let's do it.
We will have Rafa perform a live song during this podcast. So whenever you're ready, compa, go for it.
All right, let's get it. Oh shit.
And he's getting the mic ready. I just didn't want a lot of dead air.
So I mean, we talked and touched on like a lot of deep kind of topics and songs and stuff like that, and meanings behind a lot of songs. And this is one of them that helped me through a really hard time. And yeah, it's a Green Day song. We'll see how it goes. Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on a shelf with good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, I haven't done that since I was a kid. That song.
That is fucking rad. Rafa, that's Rafa from 3LH. Guys, make sure that you give 3LH a follow on Instagram, on all social media outlets. Make sure that you also check him out on Spotify. Silver Dream Road is out. You can pick it up on vinyl, either on mygrito.net, or you can go to a fucking live show and watch these boys really tear it up. Again, thank you, Rafa, for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gil. Again.
Gil, thank you for being my partner in crime. And again, this is Oscar, and this is My Grito. Órale.